Mars is currently the most explored planet in the solar system. Scientists have gathered extensive data on the size, mass, climate, atmosphere, soils, sky coloration, temperature, size of glaciers, and the length of the year and day on the red planet. However, another important question remains: does life exist on Mars? Size and location of Mars. The study of Mars began in 1962, attracting the attention of the USSR, USA, Europe, China, and India. In terms of location, Mars is the fourth planet from the Sun and is seventh in size, being half the size of Earth. The mass of Mars is approximately 11% of Earth's mass. It was named the Red Planet after the ancient Roman god of war, Mars, because of the presence of the mineral magamite in the soil, giving it a distinctive rust color not found anywhere else but on Earth. Mars atmosphere and surface. Mars' atmosphere is rarefied, and the pressure at its surface is nearly 160 times lower than on Earth. Mars' surface includes meteorite craters, deserts, valleys, volcanoes, and ice caps at the poles. Mars has two satellites, Deimos and Phobos. They are small and irregularly shaped. Distance and orbit of Mars. The maximum distance from Earth to Mars is 401 million kilometers. The minimum distance is about 56 million kilometers. The average distance from the Sun to Mars is 228 million kilometers, or 1.52 astronomical units. Mars completes its revolution around the Sun in 678 Earth days. The closest distance to Earth is reached during a confrontation that occurs every 26 months. About once every 16 years, the opposition coincides with perihelion, the minimum distance from the Sun, making Mars visible from Earth large and bright. In the future, it is planned to send expeditions to Mars during periods of great opposition, using modern technology to reduce the flight time to 8 to 12 months. Physical parameters of Mars. Given the polar compression and the rotation period, scientists hypothesize a change in the rotation rate of Mars during different periods. The surface area of Mars is approximately the same as Earth's landmass at 144 million square kilometers. The free fall acceleration at the equator of Mars is almost 40% of Earth's 711 meters per square second. The first space velocity on Mars is 6 kilometers per second, and the second is just over 5 kilometers per second. Gravity, length of day and year. The force of gravity on the surface of Mars is 2.5 times weaker than on Earth, and scientists are debating whether this is enough for human bodies to function properly. Martian settlers may require the use of weighted suits and centrifuges to create conditions close to those on Earth. A Martian day, or sol, lasts almost as long as an Earth day, about 24 hours and 38 minutes, 5% longer than on Earth. A year on Mars is almost 669 sols, or 687 days on Earth. The seasons and climate of Mars. Mars' axis of rotation is tilted to the orbital plane at an angle of about 25 degrees, which is approximately the same as Earth's angle of 43.44 degrees. The change of seasons on the red planet is similar to Earth's, but there are differences. For example, the spring-summer period in the northern hemisphere of Mars lasts 371 sols, which is more than half a year. Southern Martian summers are warm but short, while northern summers are longer but cooler. Temperatures on Mars vary widely, from minus 153 degrees Celsius at the poles in winter to plus 35 degrees Celsius maximum at the equator in summer. In the mid-latitudes, temperatures range from minus 50 degrees Celsius in winter to 0 degrees Celsius in summer. During one survey, the spacecraft recorded precipitation in the form of snow, but the snowflakes melted before reaching the surface. Long-term climate measurements on Mars indicate a global warming process that has been underway for about 370,000 years now. Frequent dust storms can also affect temperatures. Mars atmosphere. Mars' atmosphere is extremely rarefied, resulting in high ionizing radiation exposure in a day can exceed the annual dose on Earth. The atmosphere is up to 110 kilometers thick. Due to the numerous dust particles in the atmosphere, Mars' sky can appear reddish or yellowish-brown. The atmosphere consists of 95% carbon dioxide and also contains nitrogen too. 7%, small amounts of oxygen, nitrogen oxide, water vapor, argon, neon, and krypton. The atmospheric pressure on Mars is almost 160 times lower than on Earth, being only 6.1 bar. The highest pressure is in the Hellas impact trench, where, in theory, liquid water could exist, and the lowest is at the summit of the Olympus volcano, elevation 21.2 kilometers. Relief and geology of Mars. The asymmetry of the planet suggests a collision with another large object 4 billion years ago. Large irregularities resembling dried riverbeds have been found on the surface, supporting the assumption of the historical presence of water and possibly life. The soil in many places on Mars is similar to Earth's. In theory, it could be used to grow cultivated plants. The planet's surface is mostly composed of basalt, iron oxides, silica, and small amounts of magnesium, sodium, sulfur, and aluminum. The search for life on Mars. The idea of the existence of Martian life dates back to the 17th century, but there is still no clear evidence for its presence or absence. Theoretically, the temperature conditions on Mars could support life, but the lack of liquid water, its excessive salinity and acidity limit possible life forms. The presence of methane in the atmosphere could indicate volcanic activity or the presence of organic processes. Solar radiation penetrating through the rarefied atmosphere could be a barrier to the existence of life alternative to terrestrial life. Scientific experiments on Earth conducted under conditions approximating Martian conditions show that some species of mosses and lichens can survive in a similar atmosphere and soil, supporting the possibility of primitive plant life on Mars in the future.